My wife made a lovely loaf of sourdough bread and I wanted to make a photograph of it, so today we're going to walk through how I'm going to light that photograph. Welcome to the Naked Photographer, where I'll be exposing myself. No, I won't. That sounded better in my head. Before we begin, I just want to say thank you to all of you that have subscribed. We recently broke 1,000 subscribers and we did it in literally 2 days short of 1 year. So thank you all very much, and I hope more of you continue to subscribe. Now, what we have going on here is just a loaf of bread. I wanted to just kind of create a window light effect, but it's the middle of the night, so obviously I can't just use window light. So we have a strobe here. I've set the shot up so the bread is on a cutting board. I've got a piece of fabric for aesthetics, and then a larger cutting board that will be the table surface. I've got my full frame DSLR set up here with an 85mm lens. It is a 1.4 lens, but right now I believe I'm at f4. So let's go ahead and just turn the light on. So I've got my ProPhoto. This is a 500 watt second light. I've got it on the lowest setting, and we just have a reflector. And let's just take a base shot here. Due to a microphone malfunction, the rest of this will be by narration. Looking at these shadows, they were too harsh, so I decided to soften them by using a white reflector on the opposite side. So just using a piece of white card, specifically Coroplast, which is corrugated white plastic. I creased it and then used it as a small V-flat to fill in the shadow on the opposite side of the light. This filled the shadows pretty well. However, it's still too harsh and, quite frankly, pretty bland. So the solution is to remove the reflector altogether and change instead to a softbox. Now I am using a relatively small softbox. This is a 1 foot by 3 foot strip light, so a tall rectangle. This also has a grid attached. This particular one is a silver interior made by Impact. It is B&H's house brand. This softened the shadows considerably. So now instead of a hard-edged shadow, it's a soft-edged shadow. But because of the 2 interior panels of diffusion and the grid, there is a significant loss of light. So I turned the light up 1 stop, and that is definitely improved, but the shadows are slightly clipped. So I'm going to open the aperture to 2.8. The highlights are now very bright, and it began to clip the highlights. So reducing the intensity of the light and keeping the 2.8 aperture for depth of field, I get to this shot. This is much better, but we're going to see what a reflector on the opposite side does just for effect now that we have the light diffused. And we can see that that really flattens the shadows out. Not at all what I want, because I'm going for more of a window light effect, so a little bit more dramatic. So using a black card as a negative fill, I get pretty much the same shot as no fill at all, black or white. However, it does eliminate any kind of stray light off the window blinds and eliminates the possibility of the green walls reflecting light into the shadows and making them more green. Now what I'm going to try is moving the light physically closer. Now this will of course make it much brighter, but It will also soften the shadows by becoming a closer light source. So the shadows are even more diffused, the light is able to wrap around more, but it is slightly overexposed. Now you can see that the light, by being taller rather than wide, creates a darkened foreground and background. And this is the light wrapping over the loaf of bread. So if I turn the softbox to the side, I'll have less wrapping over the bread and more around the sides. And you can see that this really kind of destroyed any kind of mood put into the photograph. So replacing it back to the vertical position, I'm actually going to make the softbox completely vertical, much more like a window frame. A window would not be angled over the subject as I had the softbox positioned earlier. It would be straight up and down. So I'm mimicking that in order to get less wrap over the back side of the bread where the softbox was angled. So this should create a little bit deeper shadow on the far side, which is what I get. Now, moving this into my software, I am using Exposure X4, which is very similar to Lightroom, but it does have a lot of presets that allow you to mimic particular looks of film. So I'm going to look through a few of these to kind of get the finished overall look that I want. You can do these manually, but just playing around, this is an easy way to go. Once I've found a preset I like, I'm just going to see if a mild vignette focuses the eye more on the highlight that I want. And this is the finished product. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to celebrate our 1,000 subscriber landmark by eating some delicious sourdough bread that my wife made. So thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and get yourself some sourdough because it's really good stuff. I'll see you all next time.